It's Tuesday. Let's talk Van Damme. That's the new catchphrase. So last week I watched Nowhere to Run, and I've got to say, I knew going in, and I said going in, it's not a strong contender of Van Damme. We were probably not in the top five, and then throwing it for the cat. The biggest problem with the movie is that it lacks any tension. So you've got like a woman in, you've got a damsel in distress. She's a single mom. She's being menaced by criminals, and Rosanna Arquette or Patricia Arquette? Fuck me, I'm an asshole. Rosanna Arquette does a great job of emoting at the end of the film. She's very good at seeming upset. She doesn't do much, and like no one does much over the course of the film to actually create that sense of peril. You've got the guy who played Buffalo Bill in Silence of the Lambs is in it, and he's not the least bit intimidating or threatening to anyone. And you never really see him try to be. It's not that he tries and fails, it's that he's not given any opportunities. You've got the guy from Lethal Weapon 2 who says diplomatic immunity. And he never really intimidates it. Like at the climax of the film, those two villainous characters get involved and somewhat interact, but it's so late, you don't even care. And it doesn't even make sense that they would like endanger themselves and commit crimes showing their faces. Van Damme is a bit too tough, and that's a problem in a lot of action movies from the 90s. The bad guys send wave after wave of anonymous thugs, sometimes with weapons, sometimes with equipment, like to this farm to try and set fire to it, and Van Damme just repels them every time. You never get the sense that he's in danger or that the farm is in danger. And then there's the blonde-haired sheriff character, who I won't even bother to learn his name. We're supposed to pick up that he's like confused and has mixed feelings. He's taking bribes from the bad guys, but he's also sleeping with Rosanna Arquette and seems genuinely protective of her, as well as being later possessive of her, which should read as threatening and scary and create some tension, but it really doesn't because he's a massive pussy. The fights aren't great. There's no great stunts. There's great actors in it who are all going to waste. The only good thing that I really like about this movie, aside from Rosanna Arquette, who I really, really like as an actress, I think she does a great performance here, and I think she's just wonderful overall in everything. I like that Van Damme's character goes back to jail at the end and gives the kid a lesson, Kieran Culkin, by the way, a lesson on taking responsibility for things you've done in the past, rather than like miraculously getting away with it, which I think would be too positive of an ending. So yeah, it's a weak one. It's still good. It's better than the bad ones. I'll say that. I don't know exactly where I'm going to end up placing it when I really commit and rank everything. This week, tonight, I will watch, there'll for sure be an edit here as I go through these. I might watch Desert Heat again. It's not even a Golden Age Van Damme. It doesn't meet the criteria or anything like that, but because it takes place in the desert, it's kind of a successor to Nowhere to Run. There's nothing else that I feel like watching more than that. So that'll be another somewhat disappointing watch. I already, we watched it once, and we never heard of it. This came out under multiple different names. It was released in theaters as Inferno, and was released on DVD under that name, and under one other name, and as Desert Heat. It's a really mediocre, self-indulgent project for Van Damme. I can't remember if he wrote and directed it, but he was involved in the creative process, and so it kind of jumps from being really self-indulgent, like there's a scene where he has sex with two women, to being really grandiose, and there are a lot of scenes about inclusion and how everyone has something to offer, and the bad guys are, of course, racist because they're Americans. Um, and so, it's a hodgepodge, random ass movie that we've watched once and kind of laughed at. So we'll see how that goes tonight, and I'll see you next week to talk about it.